Assassin's Creed Odyssey confused me when it was first announced. Was this Assassin's Creed or The Witcher 3? It seemed like I wasn't the only one who was confused. Everyone I asked said it was either a generic Witcher 3 ripoff, that it wasn't Assassin's Creed anymore, or that it would be trampled by Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, they weren't completely wrong on any of those counts. This game does have a bit too much in common with the mighty Witcher 3. Its dialogue trees, upgrading systems, crafting, and overall feel of its world are very similar. Unfortunately, CD Projekt Red's passion and love of their game worlds has been replaced with Ubisoft just wanting to turn a profit off of a known franchise. And that is part of the problem. Okay, look, I know a good half of the fan base is screaming that it's still Assassin's Creed, it feels like Assassin's Creed, but sorry fellas, it's not. Okay, hold your pitchforks. Listen up here. Odyssey takes place in 431 BC, long before the Brotherhood was even founded, as we saw in Assassin's Creed Origins. So we never see any assassins, because they don't even exist yet. So there is no assassin, and there is no creed. In fact, the game itself literally says...
I'm not an assassin.
So no, this isn't Assassin's Creed. Not anymore. If you're looking for a game along the lines of Assassin's Creed 2 or Black Flag, then you're in the wrong place, my friend. If you're looking for the stealth experience that involves cautiously waiting in hay bales, plotting every last move, seeing through the walls with your careful eagle vision, and then making your move only to be spotted by that one random idiot that you hadn't seen, then you'd best look elsewhere. So it doesn't mean that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a bad game. It wouldn't even be a bad Assassin's Creed game if there was actually something about assassins in it. The only thing that really feels assassin is the use of the Ezio's family theme in the main menu, which honestly just feels really out of place and forced. All it seems to be there is so that you can say, oh, yeah, I am playing an Assassin's Creed game, aren't I? The rest of the music is great, pretty grand and epic sounding, and really does fit the setting of the game. The graphics are stunning as well. I heard some flack about this on Xbox One, but after playing the game on both Xbox One and my PC, the Xbox One still looks and runs great. It usually hits a solid 30 frames per second and has around mid-range PC graphics. The PC edition isn't the best optimized in the world, but my rig could easily run it on high settings. It's beautiful, gorgeous, I mean, just look at it already. Granted, the animations in this game can be pretty weird, with your standard dialogue trees leading to awkward animations and the good old BioWare face pretty often. Some animations look good and pretty emotional. Others, on the other hand, not so much. Now, if only the characters and story were as good as the beautiful world of ancient Greece. When it comes to the story, it's a decent premise. You play as either Alexios or Cassandra, siblings. And you are a Misthios on the hunt for your missing family, hoping to find them before they're killed by the Cult of Cosmos. The Cult of Cosmos will become the Templars, eventually. Naturally. And surprisingly, the whole Piece of Eden storyline is shoved to the back a bit, only really coming out during one of the other endings. And that brings me to the fact that yes, this is a massive RPG with a lot of dialogue that potentially can and will change what happens within the story and change the ending that you receive. Sort of. I'm getting there. But having a full-blown RPG also means that the story can't be near as consistent. Assassin's Creed games always read out like a historical novel, linear and clear in their design. Having dialogue trees that lead to such different decisions can result in a muddled and messy storyline. Thankfully, this game doesn't quite fall that far, but it still has its troubles for sure. The story comes out to little more than mediocre, serviceable, and with more air-thin filler than a bag of potato chips. The whole section where you're searching for your hero's mother drags on so long, I swore I'd never see the end of it. But the thing that can save a mediocre story is great characters with their development and struggles, right? Yeah. So I really wish Assassin's Creed would give me characters that I could actually give a darn about. Alexios and Cassandra are perfectly fine, I suppose, and despite what most say, I think that both of their voice actors did a great job. They have a tough, no-nonsense personality and have a bit of a code to follow. Unless you want to play as a stark-raving psychopath who just murders everyone in his way, in which case, you do you, my friend. The game is perfectly okay with that. But every other character is painfully bland. Marine, their mother, is just a MacGuffin for the game's worst segment. You chase after her for who knows how long, and really, it's the point of the game where I sincerely wondered if I was going to be able to finish this thing. But the character has a strong desire to reunite her family and right the wrongs the cult has done. Other than that, I couldn't tell you a single thing about her. Their father, Nikolaos, had the potential to have the strongest character arc in the entire game, but he's in so little of it that he's almost completely wasted. The villain, Demos, is laughable, both with motivations and dialogue. I can't even say that the premise of the villain is all that believable, and definitely doesn't create the massive moral dilemma you're supposed to be feeling when going up against them. Also, who the heck actually wrote these lines? The historical characters are fairly accurate. Socrates actually quotes lines from Plato's Republic. Herodotus is, he's there? I don't know, he just sort of shows up and starts doing some crap for some reason, just have another Leonardo da Vinci situation, I guess. But as for the rest, I couldn't pick them out of a lineup. I definitely couldn't tell you who did what and where when, which is a vast difference from the other AC games. In the others, I could spend just a little bit of time with these characters and want to know who they were in real life. Here, I could honestly care less, and that's a bit of a shame. Assassin's Creed got me to be invested and interested in so many parts of history and their influential figures, and their remaking of real-life figures to have no impact on me is kinda sad. Together, pretty bland, pretty boring, but not quite so horrible that you'll want to pitch the game out the window or anything. It's serviceable. But hey, a deep story and meaningful music doesn't mean diddly if the gameplay is garbage. And boy is there a lot to talk about here. This game is packed to the brim with nonsense content for you to explore. This Assassin's Creed primarily focuses on combat rather than the usual stealth approach, which is definitely going to be polarizing for some people, particularly longtime fans. But there are 3 different paths for you to choose: Hunter, Warrior, and Assassin. Depending on which tree you go along, as well as which armor and weapons you pick and upgrade, you will lean towards one of those classes. Now, Hunter and Assassin are great when out in the field, and if you miss the old Assassin's Creed sneaky style, then you could go along the Assassin line. But I warn you, there are no one-shot kills. Yeah, you remember the Hidden Blade? It doesn't exist anymore. You have to have a high enough level, prime positioning, the proper skills, and enough assassin damage to assassinate someone completely and silently, or else you've only made a stealth attack that will chip off a good chunk of their health bar but not kill them. Well, pardon me, game. I thought stabbing someone in the throat would be fatal, but man, he's wearing pants that are just too strong for me. Warrior is probably where most people are going to put their points, not only because it helps with your defense and attack, and there are a lot of boss battles that are going to force you into major combat mode where Warrior is effective, but because of one simple ability. So in short, we've gone from careful planning and the watching of guard rotations to running in like a maniac and swinging like there's no tomorrow. Combat is, well, a little wonky. The basics are solid, but in practice, some of it is just awkward and ridiculous. Enemy health bars are so long they'll make you feel like you're chipping away at a brick wall with a butter knife. Sometimes a dodge or parry simply won't register. Your character will decide that, nah, he's not going the way you told him, he's off to pick daisies or some crap. Although I highly recommend the second wind ability no matter what class you're going for, it's sort of overpowered once it's upgraded. But believe it or not, in a game about assassins, you can actually be somewhat of a sneaky assassin. At times. Sort of. This game's stealth is far more forgiving than the old games. You can literally hide in a patch of grass that doesn't even come up to your Misthios' knees, and the enemy will be none the wiser. Even after you're discovered, it's not that hard to disappear again, because even if it has been over 10 years since the Assassin's Creed franchise had its start, the AI is still as dumb as it was in Game 1, if not slightly dumber. Sneaking into a fort, killing their men and freeing their captives, and then burning their provisions all without them noticing is still very fun and rewarding though, and a bit more intense than simply running in and bashing your head into the bandit leader's skull. That can be fun too, but just do it in moderation. Stealth can also affect the outcome of certain sections of the story. There are some points where you're told to be sneaky and to let no one see you, use finesse, they usually say. And if you decide to go rushing in there like a bull in a china shop, chances are things will not go well storyline-wise. So listen, the game makes it pretty obvious through dialogue when you're supposed to be sneaky and when you're supposed to be a mini weapon of Sparta-kicking mass destruction. The game itself tries to encourage you to be sneaky outside of main missions, but once you are in the story missions, you'll be forced into combat nearly every single time, so the game is sort of contradicting itself. Way to go, Yubi. Way to go. Another feature of the gameplay is the parkour system, but it's fairly simple. Point your Misthios at a wall, hold down the button, and he climbs up there like Spider-Man in a matter of seconds. And you'll be needing all the modes of transportation you can get, as this map is massive, one of the biggest in Assassin's Creed history. It is actually laid out just like ancient Greece, which is a nice touch in my opinion. Although, where did Sparta get all these ships from if this is actually the Peloponnesian War? You guys do know that Sparta didn't have a navy, right, Ubisoft? Ubisoft? Oh boy. Speaking of ships, you have one. Yep, sailing is back from Black Flag and Rogue, and honestly, it doesn't feel like it belongs. Once you've gone to a place and unlocked a fast travel point by synchronizing, there really isn't any point to getting back on the ship other than mandatory sections during the story campaign. Finding upgrading materials isn't all that easy, and without them you're about as powerful as a soggy marshmallow, so I pretty much just avoided it for the vast majority of my game time. The ship mechanics themselves are somehow worse and clunkier than Black Flag, which came out 4 years ago, might I add. And really, Ubisoft, you're making an entire game about just ship mechanics? Might want to get your stuff straight here first, guys, then take care of your obvious Black Flag with all the fun assassin bits. But your ship, the Odyssey, isn't the only way to get around. Oh no, you also get this thing that was clearly ripped from Metal Gear Solid 5. Yeah, you get a horse named Phobos, your choice, whether he's a Skyrim-level mountain goat who clings to every surface like glue, a powerful war horse that panics if an Athenian sneezes in his general direction, or a super fast horse that honestly feels like molasses in January to ride. Phobos can be customized with different skins from where else but the microtransactions store! Yay! Another major feature of the game is the mercenary and cultist system. So, have you ever played Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War? Remember the Nemesis system, the highly inventive mode for portraying the turning tides and leadership on the battlefield? Well, yeah, strip all the complexity of enemy weaknesses, vulnerability, strength, as well as the personality of each guy you're going to fight, and there you go, you have the mercenary system. It's just working your way up a ladder to take down bigger and nastier baddies that have no personality whatsoever, or any real interest or difference. Fun. The cultist system is simply a web of the cult's finest that you have to take down for that epic loot. They can be pretty powerful, or so I've heard. Honestly, most of the ones I've met began running away from me in terror, and the best I can do is shoot them down before they try to get too far out of sight. And believe me, the more people you kill, the more trouble you cause, and the more you make yourself notice, that's when the bounty hunters begin to come after you. In the bottom of the screen, there's a constant marker of how many bounty hunters are after you. It'll start to pulse when one gets close, and when it does, you'd better learn to hightail your hind end out of there. The bounty hunters are an interesting mechanic, but they're known to show up at the worst of times. Yep, expect that when you're in the middle of an enemy fort, surrounded, low on health, and without any adrenaline to use your skills, a bounty hunter will jump in and beat whatever's left of you to a pulp. They're fun that way. The rest of the gameplay primarily consists of upgrading your gear, looting armor, and doing side quests that will eventually end up in combat, that I can guarantee, and running around ancient Greece like a chicken with your head cut off. Now for some tips and tricks for those of us who have no idea what the heck we're doing and don't want to learn it the hard way. Number 1. You can upgrade any piece of armor to be appropriate to your current level by visiting a blacksmith. This is great if you just got legendary gear fairly early on, or just like an armor skills and want to keep using it. The blacksmith is your friend, talk to him. He's not there to look pretty. Number 2. Don't worry about your fashion choices and armor in this one. If a piece of armor looks uglier than what the cat drug in, then just change it. You can change the appearance of the armor to look like any armor you have looted before simply by hovering over the armor you want and holding the left face button. Fashion is important on the battlefield, folks. Number 3. You can achieve 3 of 4 possible endings in a single playthrough. In order to get the Atlantis ending, you have to beat all the mythical beasts, including the Sphinx, Minotaur, Cyclops, and the one that was marketed almost to death, Medusa. The way to get the cultist ending is to hunt down all the cultists and reveal a shocking, amazing, mildly interesting, okay, pretty mediocre plot twist. But I'll let you judge that for what it is. You can recruit random enemy soldiers to act as lieutenants on board the Odyssey, but you have to knock them out either with a sneak attack or hit them with some paralysis arrows. In my opinion, don't bother. You'll be getting far better lieutenants by doing side quests. These side quest lieutenants are the only ones that have skills that are not hot garbage, so I recommend just sticking with them and stabbing up any other guards you might meet. All in all, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, while not being a very good Assassin's Creed game, is still a darn fun RPG with pretty interesting combat, a beautiful world, and just the barest smidgen of enough story to keep you going through it. I'd say that if you find this one at a decent price, go for it. Until next time, have fun assassinating.